Welcome back to the Cozy Rosy Crochet channel. I'm excited to have you here as I kind of round up and gather my thoughts on what has been a very busy March. It is 2025 and this month has had an awful lot going on, from attending the Stitch Festival, which was a 4-day yarn, well, not a yarn show, a fabric show. Let's call it a craft show. Had new products go into my shop. Of course, I launched my brand new summer crochet book called Hooked on Summer. There's a lot to talk about with the things that are coming up in April and in May, because I have to keep looking that far forward now. And I just want to take a moment to kind of review it all with you and give you my thoughts on how things are going at these shows. Now, before we jump in, I do want to shout out my local coffee shop because they are absolutely amazing. They have the nicest vegan peanut butter crunch. I've just eaten it, so if you see chocolate all over my face, just ignore it. It is Saturday. I'm filming this on a Saturday morning. As you can see, I've got bags of stock everywhere. I've not fully packed up or unpacked from the show because I have another show coming up. Where shall we start today? There is a lot to talk about. I don't know whether or not to start with an update on the poppies for the Dustin Community Centre display, or to tell you all about the show. I will sit while I think. I tell you what, let's start with the... Oh my God, that's so weird. Now I've noticed it, I'm going to start with the lace tablecloth that I've been working on. Now, this was given to me to finish off for a lady who can no longer crochet due to arthritis and the tiny needle or hook that she's using. And it's really funny, I've just looked at the window behind you, and the stitch that I'm doing, I'll overlay some video here for you so you can see what I'm actually making. The stitch that I'm using literally looks like I don't know what you call it, pattern in the glass. It's called the spider lace stitch. It's supposed to represent a spider. Now that makes sense with the name, but can you see? Oh, is it going to show up? Where am I? Here. Look, it's got like the same flower pattern that's on the lace that I've been making. I only mention it because I've literally just looked behind me and noticed the glass. And you want to see the state of this room. So we have stuff here, big boxes. There's some stock there, all the way down there. I've now got multiple tables in this room. And this is the box of poppies we have to discuss. Not very professional filming today. I can't get to my light ring. And I've got no idea where my camera stand is. So you're currently sat on top of a box. It is what it is. Everything's a bit real at the moment. So let's talk about, now I've told you about that. Oh, the lace table. So I'm aiming to finish off this lace tablecloth for them. And then someone else is going to stitch in the fabric that goes into the center of it. Now, I was very kindly gifted, I still haven't shared it with you actually, I got an absolutely massive box of cottons, threads, needles, hooks, Afghan hooks, so many different things in this box. I will go through it with you at some point. I've not had a good look through, but I did look through the massive pile of old magazines and pattern books to try and find the chart for this pattern. Now, I couldn't find it, so I've been relying on using what's been made previously as a filet crochet chart and following that as best I can. I think I've done quite a good job. But the other day I posted an image of what I've been working on Instagram, and Joanna of High Desert Yarn was like, ooh, spider crochet. And I was like, is that what it's called? Is that what I needed to search for? Yes, I thought they looked like spiders, but to me I thought it might have supposed to have been looking like a flower, like in the window. Anyway, I have fallen in love with the stitch pattern. I've actually really enjoyed working with a 1.25mm crochet hook, so much so that I'll tell you about later, one of the new products in my shop is a set of lace making or steel hooks with soft grip handles. I'm using a traditional metal hook, and I'm interested to try it with a soft grip hook that I really like. So I've selected a pack of hooks to try out, and then obviously if I like them I can recommend them, but they're in the shop now. I'll pop a link in the top right corner, wherever that might be right now, so you can go and check those out if you have the idea of trying to make some crochet lace, because I think I'm going to have to do something with it. I've really enjoyed working with it. It's no slower than any other crochet. It's just fiddly. And I think, like everything, when you change from a giant, you know, if you're doing something in super chunky and you go down to doing double knit, it takes a little while to adjust to it. But yeah, you get used to it. And I can even change between the different weights now, so that's quite useful as well. So I've still got 4 more repeats to do on this tablecloth. It will then be finished. I'm aiming for the end of next week so I can give it back to them and it can get finished. And the 93-year-old who started it can see it finished, ready on her table. So that was a little added extra. Just looking at those windows, just completely like, oh my God, it looks just like that stitch pattern. Anywho, so the Stitch Festival was the show that I was at last weekend, the weekend just gone. And it was the first time at this show. It's part of the same kind of group that do the knitting and stitching show in London and Harrogate. So I thought, you know what, I'll dip my toe in, have a little look, see how it feels. I had quite a small stand trying to keep costs down. It is quite an expensive show to take part in. And I needed to keep the cost down because it's extra. It wasn't included on this year's plan. So I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. I kept my costs down as much as I can. I saved myself £1,000 on taking part in comparison to what I will spend for the the Knitting and Stitching show in October. I won't give you the actual amount I spend, it's horrifying, but they really are such a wonderful opportunity to meet so many wonderful people in our community. Not only the amazing customers that I get to meet and people who pick up copies of my patterns for the first time, but also the amazing organisers and the other stand holders. Made really good friends with my closest stands. I was even gifted a lovely little tote bag that I've been storing my lace project in, which is just so sweet of them to give that to me at the end of the show. It's a nice little uplift. The organisation of the show was phenomenal. It was a 4-day show, so it was on Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. There were 2 late nights, which I really enjoyed. They did drag, you know, made the day a little bit longer. It was a bit draggy for me because they were the Thursday and I'll move them around, sorry, just because my table's not lined up. It was on the Thursday night, we ran till 6:30. Friday was till 5, and then Saturday again was a later night until 6:30. And that gave people the opportunity who were travelling that little bit further not to rush, to feel like they're missing out on the show, and they could get afternoon tickets, which I thought was really nice. It did mean, well, the venue had a curfew on it because it's in almost central London. It's in Islington. I don't know where that means. It's outside of the congestion zone, but it was, to me, that's quite central. The further that I went into London than I've driven for a long, long time. I'll talk about the driving in a moment. You may already know. What I liked, for me personally, not as an actual attendee, but as a stall holder, or being on a stand, was we closed at 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. That to me was like unbelievable. I had a really tough load out at the Knitting and Stitching show last year in October, just gone. I didn't get home till nearly midnight, which was, I am not a night owl in any way. So to finish at 3, I had 2 extra helpers with me on Sunday, just wonderful. I'm so grateful to them. They helped me pack up everything down within 20 minutes, and I was in the queue to the lift by 3:20, which is unbelievable. And I managed to get everything out in 3 loads, which was really quite impressive. I don't know how much was in my trolley, but it worked really, really well. And I was on the road out of London by, must have been 4:30 on Sunday afternoon, which is, you know, a very big difference to leaving at 8:30 on a Sunday evening. I did drive up and down to the show every single day, which meant I could bring my very good friend Julie. She came with me on the Thursday, which was the first day of the show, and we left quite early. We left hers. I picked her up about 7 o'clock, 6:45 in the morning, and we got on the motorway. We're making, you know, it was a bit stop-start, and then someone really made me stop. We were in a kind of like a mini car pile-up, which is, I'm going to be honest, only the 3rd accident I've been in, and every single time it's been into the back of my car, very proudly. So this was obviously in the we had 4 lanes in the motorway going down the M1. I think it was around, we don't know where we were, between junction 12 and the new junction 11A. I think that's where we were. and we were in the third lane, pootling along. We were both watching the car in front of us because it was weaving in and out of the lanes, and it was quite steady, like 50 mile an hour traffic. There were cones that were coming up, so I was already in the third lane. Everyone was braking. I was already braking, and the car in front of me braked. The car in front of me braked a little bit too late, so they slammed their brakes on, which meant I had to slam my brakes on. Julie was like, she said that she heard the smashing before we got hit. I'm not that astute, but I could see in my rearview mirror that the work van behind me was not going to be able to stop in time. And luckily, they did an amazing job. And I think they took a lot of the force. So I have a little bit of damage on the back of my little car. It's not that little. I've got a Fiat 500L because it's got a lovely square boot. But I've got a little bit of damage. It didn't look really obvious at the time. I'll put a picture in. It was really surreal. And I had my phone out to take photos of all the damage of all the cars and stuff. And I've got this amazing shot of where the traffic had stopped to allow us to, exchange details and stuff. But it was quite a thing. And the weirdest thing was, because that section of the M1 is called it's called all lanes running. So there's no hard shoulder. There's no emergency area near where we were. So I just kind of kept moving forward a little bit thinking, where do I go? Because I couldn't go into the hard shoulder. I couldn't go into the fourth lane because there was still traffic coming around the accident. So I kept checking in my rearview mirror to see what they were doing, because I couldn't get out because it was a live lane. The motorways are notoriously dangerous, and I'm not sure I'm in agreement with all lanes running. And I'm aware that sadly people have lost their lives in these situations where they can't go anywhere after an accident. There's nowhere to pull over safely. Anywho, I digress. I feel incredibly lucky, first and foremost, because I stopped the accident, as in I didn't hit anybody in front of me. So that means that there's no claims against my insurance. More importantly, nobody was injured that we're aware of. As far as we know, I saw everybody, they're all out looking at their cars. The car in between the van and the transit, unfortunately, took the worst of the hit, which means I don't know if they hadn't braked at all or if the van behind them hadn't seen. But oh my goodness, it was a mess. And it sounds awful, but I was like, oh my God, look, I've got to go. I've got to get into London. We were literally not even past Luton at this point. If you know that area of the M1, you'll know it's notorious for accidents and delays. And that day it was me. It wasn't me, I didn't cause it, but you know what I'm saying. I was involved in that traffic that day, and it's really strange. But yeah, we were absolutely fine. Everyone is safe. My car gets picked up this week to go to the garage to be assessed again. There is still a small risk it could be written off. Obviously, you can't see the damage underneath until they remove things. I am really hopeful that they do not write it off. I have, of course, researched my car's worth, researched a replacement, and they don't match. So hopefully I do not need to spend thousands of pounds on a new vehicle. Not that I haven't already picked the vehicle that I would buy. So that was the exciting journey into the first day of the show, and we made it on time. We were already kind of like in that heavy rush hour traffic when that happened. Obviously, the worst of the traffic stayed behind us, waiting for those cars to be recovered. And we pootled on all the way into London and got there on time. And it was an amazing day. Julie really enjoyed it. She's never done a full day at a show before, and she really enjoyed herself. She's very knowledgeable about crochet. She's made a lot of my patterns. She's tested a lot of my patterns. She even did a remake for me on the Isla multi-way top. And the biggest element, of course, had to be the brand new Hooked on Summer book. So I think I've shown you the mock-up version of the book, but this is the real life book in real life. And I don't have many left of the first print run, which is very, very exciting. I'm so pleased with how it's turned out. As you know, I'm eternally grateful to my amazing pattern testers that allowed me to use their images. And of course, to my phenomenal photographer, Candy, I'm in the office. So she has a space. She's got her studio is just a few doors down from me. But yeah, so it's 96 pages. And it was on a show special. I'm going to pop it on sale a little bit over time. It's not the cheapest book because it is so many pages. It costs a lot of money to print it. And there are 12 size inclusive patterns in there. And I was really proud to be able to say that to everybody. It was definitely my bestseller of the show. Some interesting, it was a warm weekend. I wore this on the first day and I was a bit warm, but it was warm. And because it was so warm, I was surprised at what the second and third best sellers were. My pocket shawl is quite a showstopper, so it's always on a mannequin. I borrowed 2 mannequins because mine is a bit rickety now and doesn't travel very well. So I need to invest in a couple new of those. But I borrowed a couple of mannequins from Pin Clothing. She also has an office upstairs. She's the lady that made my vegetable skirt that I bought that from. She has an amazing array of handmade, hand-sewn items, including my vegetable skirt. She let me borrow 2 of her mannequins, so they travel down with me on the setup day. And it really allows me to showcase some of the patterns more than others, if that makes sense. And pocket shawl is always a really good seller. Such a wonderful pattern. It's really snuggly, got a really deep back on this shawl, so it really does work well. And people love the pockets. But what really interested me was because it's the Stitch Festival, which has kind of a heavy leaning towards sewing. So I wasn't sure how much of a crochet audience there was, but there was a lot more than I thought, actually. People could not decide whether or not it was knitted or crocheted. I don't know. I thought it looks very knitted. I think it looks very crochet to me, but obviously I know I made it and I know it's crochet, but maybe it is a bit of a tough challenge because it has some unique stitches in there, like the paired half double and that kind of thing. I do love it. And the third bestseller of the whole show was the Wrapped Up in Diamond sweater, which is my new cable sweater design that launched in February. That's now in print as well. And it was extremely popular, mainly because of the cropped green version, unsurprisingly. But I really like to be able to showcase patterns in their different variations as well. So there were a lot of samples on that stand. I think I did do a count at one point and there were over 20 different samples of my patterns on that stand. I bought 2 new clothing rails because I had one that I really like it. It has shelving at the bottom. It's really, really useful. But I couldn't fit all the samples on there. So I had to buy a second clothes rail and then, they had to match. So I had to buy 2. Really, really loved seeing people use the pattern spinner. That was definitely well received. But I think my stand was a little bit too snug. I only went 2.5 by 2 meters, which is tiny. It fit, but you couldn't fit more than 2 people, 3 people, other than, me or Julie on there. And it would have been really useful to have a second pattern spinner. So that's the next investment to do, is to get another pattern spinner and fill the stand with even more patterns. They were the overall best sellers. A little bit of everything went. Really interestingly was the expansion on the hook sets that I had. So I think I shared in the last video that I've bought some hook sets and oh my goodness, they were so popular. They sold out by 2 o'clock on the first day. Had I thought it through, I could have got more. But they are now restocked in the shop and they're available. They'll be with me at the next show as well. And I've managed to get my hands on the smaller set. I have the Grande set that has 12 hooks in it. And now I've managed to get the Deluxe, which ranges from a 2mm up to a 6. And the bigger set is 2 to 12mm. Alongside that, we've got the Pony soft grip, which are really good for those people that need a bit of a longer handle compared to the Knit Pro handles. Bigger range of hooks, bigger range of hook sets. So that's really exciting. Other new products is just the individual patterns. I'm slowly uploading them, the printed versions, onto my shop because they take a lot to put the listings on. But they should all be done by the end of this week. That's my aim, so that I can focus more on my online sales with physical products as well. It's all very exciting, lots of changes. So the Stitch Festival was just phenomenal. I have printed out some of the feedback and the comments that I've received and overheard during the actual show. My favourite one has to be, I was serving a customer and someone was at the other end of the stand, and over the crowd she shouted, "I love your large print." And I was like, thank you. Because one of the things I will not change is the size of the font. I'm trying to find a pattern page. Hang on. Oh my gosh. It's the size of the font. Now, obviously, that looks tiny. But if you were in real life, it's actually very well spaced. There is a space between every line, every change of like instruction, like if you're going to a different size or you're going on to something else, there is a space between them. I personally struggle with blocks of writing. I find it hard to break it down. So one of the things I'm focused on when I started doing my own publications was doing a large enough print that it's not squintable. So I won't go lower than a 12 point. I know ideally it should be a 14 point, but it just adds so much onto the size of the books that it just makes them not financially viable. If anyone ever needs a larger print, please just ask me. I will do a special one for you. But everyone that commented, all the comments were very positive about the size of the print, about the layouts and how clear and bold everything was, which is I'm very, very proud of. So I'm really pleased that I made that decision. Gosh, when was that? July last year when I started printing, was to keep everything really, really clear and as large as I could go. The other common thing that was said, do I mention that? Okay, so in that video that I showed you on the stand, there is the Bella Bralette shorts set, not bikini, up on the wall. And it is a flat mannequin. It was pinned in more than you can ever believe. But the number of people that were reminiscing over the knitted swimsuits and bikinis they had in the 60s and 70s. And I get it. It is probably a sense of nostalgia, and things do come back around. A couple of the times I tried letting people know, it's not really designed for swimming. It's just for sunbathing or, showing an amazing body that you love. And then I would try and educate people to the types of yarn that are available now. We know that there are specific swimwear yarns out there for us to make swimsuits and bikinis with, but not everybody will know that. So I'm trying to kind of share that knowledge as well. But after 2 days of it, I was just ignoring them and letting them walk on by because they're just reminiscing. They don't need to, not everybody wants to be told that I'm, whatever. It didn't really get to me. It got a bit amusing initially, and then it was like, oh God. When someone keeps saying the same joke over and over again. Anywho, I don't know if that's a moan or not. I don't really mean to be moany. It was a great way of starting interactions with people, but most people were reminiscing about the mistakes their parents had made, which is really quite amusing. So this is a weird one, but one of the other comments I got quite a lot of was, is there a kit for this? And they are pointing to garments. So I would love to be able to offer kits for all of my garment patterns. There are a number of issues with that though, personally. First and foremost, there's a lot of financial outlay to have a kit available in various sizes, in various colours. Some of the yarns that I've used, I can't buy on a wholesale, especially not at the moment. I've not actually tried for some of them, and maybe I could, but I also use a lot of American yarns and they are imported. So if I was to do kits in those, I want to recreate them in that specific yarn that I've used. I can't, I physically can't get hold of it. Certainly wouldn't be able to get hold of it at a cost that would be worth doing, because the bigger yarn houses, as I call them, I've already got preferential rates potentially, and none of my yarns are hard to get hold of. I can tell you exactly where I buy them from as a consumer. And it's something I've listened to because, of course, I would love to be able to do it. And some of the kits are going to use a lot less yarn than others. So, for instance, let's look, the most popular pattern in the Hooked on Summer is, of course, the Running Rings Around Granny Vest. And that was the most requested kit. That and the... I don't know where it is. Oh, no, it's not in here. That and the Gloriosa sweater. So the Running Rings Around Granny uses a Webb's yarn, which is Valley Yarns Lovecraft Stockit, and the Gloriosa was made with Lion Brand Kubu. Both amazing cotton blend yarns. The other cotton blend yarn I use is Stylecraft Naturals Bamboo Cotton, and yes, I can get that because I have a Stylecraft account, but the volume of yarn that you'd need, I can't get it at a price that would be competitive enough to beat the biggest stockists in this country, unfortunately. Not yet. I'm working on all of these things. What I have done is, oh, I missed a really popular pattern actually. It's nearly sold out at the show. The other one of my patterns that continue to be really popular are the Really Really Wanna shawl and the cable and cross cardigan. Now they are made using the same yarns, which is Sirdar Jewel Spun. So I have, and I'm going to be updating this on the shop, probably by the time this comes out, there are some kits available for both of those products, but the colours are limited. Now I've just seen that Sirdar have launched an ombre, a Sirdar Jewel Spun ombre, which I think I'm going to have to try because they come in 400 gram balls. I need to research the cost of those and whether or not I can be competitive enough. But most definitely, if you're coming to my next show, you will be able to get a kit for either the Really Wanna shawl or the cable and crossed cardigan. So yeah, they are, I'm listening. Obviously with the crochet hooks, I did have a request for a steel hook. It was only one request over the whole weekend, but I've got them anyway because they look really nice. Oh, this really made my heart sing. A number of times people were like, oh, that's your face, when they saw perhaps me wearing the cable and cross cardigan or me wearing the strawberry sundae cardigan, even flicking through the book and seeing younger photos of me because I was a lot younger and thinner. That's me, believe it or not. Still got the glasses, but just not the jawline. And then they would ask, are these all your designs? I'm like, yeah. And I don't know. I didn't know what to expect, but yes, on that stand there were probably around 80 different designs, all of them designed by my own hands and this weird brain that I have. And I was really proud to be able to say yes, and I am a self-published author now with 5 books. Real ones, they have ISBNs and everything. Very, very proud of that fact. And it felt really nice. So one of the final things that I was most pleased to hear positive comments about were the size is the size inclusivity of my patterns. So I do design patterns from a 28-inch chest all the way up to a 62-inch chest. There are ranges in between that, and that's 9 different sizes to choose from. That unfortunately is also what puts my prices a little bit higher, because obviously all of that needs to be tested, graded and checked, etc. before they go into publication. But for me, it means that these patterns can be made by probably 95% of the adult population in the UK, at least. And that's really important to me. I was born at a time when larger ladies were shopped in one shop and one shop only. And the assumption was that if you're large, you're also tall. And if you know me, I'm only 5 foot. So that was fun. So it's really important to me that those of us who are plus size or outside the norm of sizing have access to patterns that include instructions on how to make it longer, shorter, wherever possible. So if I have a skirt pattern, for instance, it will have the 3 lengths, which is your petite, regular, not normal, regular and tall. My dresses have those. Most of my cardigans are written for 3 lengths. Mainly because I like long ones. And that I do and will continue to be able to offer that as well, because I think it's really important. And not everyone is confident in making adjustments to patterns to fit or to add rows here and remember where else to put them. So I try and offer as many things, and I will continue to do so. But I'm also really pleased that people notice. Well, I can chat all day with you, apparently. I think it's the coffee. Anyway, I am going to mention one other little thing about March, because I was very proud of myself and I had an amazing time. I was able to catch up with all of my wonderful girlfriends, and I love them so much. It was such good fun. It was just, it's the best tonic, isn't it? It's like a night with the girls. We went to my friend's house and we just had a wonderful curry she'd made, actually. It was chickpea and chicken curry, the most amazing dessert that her husband had made for us. And I'm really making a positive affirmation. No, I definitely want to make sure that every month I am doing something special, either with my husband or with my friends, because it's really easy for me, at least, to get caught in that cycle of work. There's always something else to do. Yes, it is a Saturday when I'm sat here, but that's because I lost a little bit of time at the start of the week. And I'm not catching up. I'm having a chat with you instead. So I'm still catching up with friends, aren't I? So it's all good. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of let you know that that's my commitment to myself, that I am going to be having more fun at least once a month, which sounds really sad, but sometimes that's a challenge. And I do have lots of lovely things booked in. Next month, which is April, which is now, in April, I am going to the theatre with my dear friend Caroline, and I am going to have an actual holiday, a real life actual switch off holiday. And I've never done this. I think I might have switched off when I went to France last year. That was for about 5 days. I went to Bordeaux. That was amazing. That was the last break I've had, and that was a year ago in April. We are in April, so that's a year ago. So well overdue a bit of time out. As you know, carry on again, but it's not been the best year, etc., etc. But I'm excited about having a little bit of time away. I'm actually going to stay in Cornwall. I will take some content because I think I want to check out a couple of places actually. There's some good yarn shops down there. I've missed the Exeter show though, unfortunately. That was last weekend, but I'm looking into that one as well. I'd like to spend more time. I love that side of the country. It's beautiful. So I'm really proud that I did that. I had an amazing time with my friends. Really loved every second of it. And I have lots of little things planned that are coming up. We've just booked tickets to go and see Stevie Wonder in Hyde Park. What else have I got? Oh, Mariah Carey at Sandringham. What else? James Bay in Hitchin. Loads of things happening. Loads of things. I can't wait. I'm just excited. Lots of lovely things. So the other thing that I really need to talk about, which I'm probably going to film and just talk over, is... Let's grab a bag, shall we? Poppies. I feel a bit like Dorothy with all these poppies everywhere. The poppies, the poppies. They're not making me sleepy. They're making me incredibly excited. But I literally have hundreds of them. So I need to do a count to see where we are, because we're making both red and purple poppies for this poppy display. The display, in case you're not aware, I'm helping coordinate a repair on the red poppy cascade at the Dustin Community Centre in Northamptonshire. And we're adding to it. Now, these are all knitted. I do have some crochet ones as well. We're adding like a warhorse element to it. There is a charity for the warhorse, and they use the purple poppy. So we're going to have a silhouette of a horse covered in purple poppies as well. So there is a video tutorial on this channel to crochet your own. Let me find you one. So we're going to make... It's more of a remembrance poppy shape. These knitted ones are absolutely beautiful, but they're also double the size. So I'm going to get some bigger wool. So you can make red ones and purple ones. And then I'll link in the description box the address that you need to pop them in the post to me, please. In red or purple, any shade of purple, any shade of red. They don't have to be. I mean, obviously, they're all going to be different anyway. Just use what you've got in your stash, and then you need a tiny scrap of black. But there's this knitted version as well, which I really think is very sweet, similar to the crochet version I've created. But whatever pattern you're used to, please make me some poppies, because we need hundreds and hundreds of them. The maximum someone's made so far, I am going to mention her because she's incredibly proud of herself, as she should be, is Sue. And she has currently made 200 poppies for me. There's already 100 at the Dustin Community Centre that someone else has knitted up for me. So I'm really lacking in the crochet poppies. So I'm going to have to get my own hook going to make some more. I think this is one of mine because obviously, ends. You don't have to weave your ends in if you don't want to, because as long as they're knotted, because they're just going to be stapled onto the display. So there are currently 72 red poppies and 207 purple poppies in these boxes to my right. Wow. And then we've got another 100 at least at the community centre, and I know that there are people stitching them up for me up and down all over the country. I would really like for everyone just to send one or two to me. It would mean so much for you to be involved in this massive project. It's the biggest community project I've ever done. It's not the only one that's happening this year. You may have seen we've got some knitted squares in this box already. I'm going to tell you more about these next month, ready for some of the things that are coming up in May, which just seems so far away, but it really isn't. So in April, there is a lot happening again. And in fact, if you wanted to stitch up some poppies and you're in and around the Leeds area, I am going to be having a stand at the Spring Into Wool Festival, which is at the Grammar School in Leeds. That's the big event for April. Really excited for this. I've got workshops at that event as well. The Learn to Crochet is completely sold out. In fact, it's oversold. Manageable, but oversold. And there are a few spaces left for the sunflower workshop. I'm really excited for this one. We're going to be crocheting sunflowers. It's not for anything special. It's for you to make and to create it into a beautiful wreath. You can make it autumnal inspired, but it's one of these little projects that you can use for lots of different uses. Already one of the pattern testers has made it into a keyring, and we do love a little crochet keyring to give to our loved ones, don't we? If you wanted to find out more about the Spring Into Wool show, that is being held at the Leeds Grammar School, 12th and 13th of April. I will pop a link right here for you and in the description box for you to go and find out more about the show. It is a large show. You're going to find some amazing small businesses there, including myself. So I will have a stand. The list is pretty epic, but craft-wise, it's very much focused on wool. So you've got hand-dyed, you've got some commercial yarns, you've got spinning, needle felting, knitting, crochet, all the yarn crafts, most definitely. Really interestingly, you'll have your local knitting and crochet guild there, I think, along with the local spinners guild. They are always there on hand to wind your skeins for you as well for a small charitable donation. There is also this brilliant thing that they have there where you bring your old magazines and then people can purchase those for a small fee, and that all goes to the local charity for that show as well. The type of wool or yarn that I'm using. But yeah, it's coming up to the year end for me, obviously. So I'm excited to see where that year ends for me. It's been a good year, but the expenses have been high, shall we say. Lots of investment, been so worth it. You know, my next investment is going to be another one of these pattern spinners for my big shows. And project-wise, I'm going to be finishing off the lace tablecloth. I have a couple of new designs that I'm working on. The biggest project is going to be for the next kind of month. The biggest project I'm working on will be a brand new blanket pattern. It is going to be multiple squares and it will not be releasing until you know when. If you don't know, we're talking mid-August, ready for Granny Square Day. It's my favourite day of the year. You know that. I love a granny square blanket, but it's not going to be granny square, just going to be blanket squares, but I will be sharing updates on that as I make progress as well. I hope that you've had a lovely March and you're looking forward into spring, making more lightweight crochet projects. We know that we can crochet all year round. You know, I'm very passionate about that as well. And I have a lot of inspiration heading your way over the coming weeks as well. I'm going to try and put together a quick little Easter inspo. I think I have one from last year that I'll reshare for you. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, wherever you are watching this. I hope you've enjoyed hearing this bit of an update for this manic March, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of spring brings. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. I will see you in the next video.